Welcome back to episode 2 of the usually weekly gaming show. It's not weekly so far because I was sick last week and I'm still feeling a little under the weather. But we're back and I've got a real short one for you today because there's not a whole lot in terms of news right now. I mean, there's always a lot in terms of news, but nothing that I care about. But Christ, I'm sorry, this is going to be a long one. Let's get into it. We're going to start things off with the world of Pokemon. Now, today on Instagram, I was greeted with a lovely video that I thought was going to be the next cool, new, fresh Pokemon experience, but it was actually a promo for Mega Victory Bell. You know, when I see this and I see the Dragonite, the new Dragonite Mega, it really, really makes me think that Pokemon has zero understanding of what its fans actually want and who its fans are. People like me in their 30s. This shit looked like something straight out of Mario. Now, I'll admit the video was interesting, and I think in most circumstances, if I saw the Victory Bell, I'd be fine with it. But because this is only the second new Mega they've introduced, and it just seems so comical and such a weird choice, in terms of its design and just everything about it just screams not taking itself seriously whatsoever. And I know it's Pokemon we're talking about here, but give me something cool for once. You know, Dragonite is objectively I think worse than its original design, and this is just a whatever. So I mean, you know, pessimism aside, I think this game, Legends ZA, is going to be great. They released new footage recently of the quad battle system. I don't know if I'm going to get into that in a separate video or not, but I do think that it's going to be one of those situations where you just have to see, you just have to be there and play it before you make any judgment, because it seems bad. We'll see. You know, I always say that, but I think we gotta experience it for ourselves. In another segment, we have the latest trailer for Fallout, the TV series, Season 2. Now, if you never caught the first season, I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of the series, if you're not, if you've never even heard of Fallout, it's actually a good show. Just objectively on its own, it does its thing. It's not, you don't have to know anything about the universe to appreciate it, but if you do, I think there's a lot to enjoy. Season 2 is going to be set in New Vegas, which, if you missed New Vegas, out of all the Fallout games, I recommend going back and playing that one. It's definitely dated. It shows its age, and if you know the history of the development of that game, it's a miracle it even exists. But it is absolutely worth your time, and I'm super excited to see them take the new season to the New Vegas Strip. The trailer for this is about 2.5 minutes long. I'm going to put a little clip of it here, but I'm actually extremely pumped for this. I think they're really going to up the ante. I'm hoping that if they stayed loyal to the franchise, that is my main concern. But I really hope they sort of up the ante a bit here on this season. Last season, there was moments that were great, and there was moments that sort of fell, not flat, but they floundered just a bit. Things that I just don't feel were necessary or relevant. And a lot of the characters and the way they were written, they definitely, a few of them fell a little flat. And I'm not saying most, I mean one or two of them in particular. So I hope they flesh those characters out a little bit more so that we see a more not a serious side, but just they were a little absurd and not in the typical way that you appreciate with the Fallout series. Just sort of I don't know, almost cringy, you know? Anyways, I'm very excited. Keep your eyes out. It's not coming out till December 17th, so it'll be a while, but it'll be a nice Christmas treat. So, towards the future, we look. As of recording the video, it is August 21st. I'm telling on myself because it'll probably be days later that I actually publish it, but we are less than a month away from Borderlands 4, and the hype is real, at least for me. I think for a lot of people. I'm putting this segment in right now because I want to go ahead and point out that they have released footage of all 4 of the playable characters. Now you can go and take a look at everything. You can see the gameplay. It's not as under wraps as it was even a month ago or even 2 weeks ago. We've got major details involving the players. We have backstory. We have their own sort of movie trailer. We're missing one trailer, but we have 3 of the 4 so far. And the game's looking to be the next Borderlands that we were hoping 3 was, and I'm thinking that they're going to include a lot of those features that we complained about before. Now, there's some straight up just parts of this new game that people just don't like. I feel like they're pretty easy to address, and they keep saying, provide us with your feedback. We want to know. We want to know what we could do better. Will they make the adjustments, the occlusion of the mini-map in favor of a compass system, I think is universally hated. And I don't think that it's like based on preference, really. I just think the mini-map is very useful, whereas the compass is almost entirely non-useful. So it's a gameplay, it's a choice to development that I feel like isn't that much of an ask to change. And I think if enough people complain about it, we could see something. Randy Pitchford made a comment in one of these interviews that they might release it later as DLC. I think that sort of commentary is exactly what this game and the whole franchise needs to get away from. When you don't take your fans seriously, you see a drop in sales. You see people legitimately boycott the game. 2K and Gearbox have kind of been, criticized, scrutinized lately for some of their decisions. A lot of those revolving around the terms of service you need to agree to in order to play the game. If you haven't looked into that detail, it's a lot, but more or less it's giving access to these companies, giving them access to your IP address, all kinds of personal information. It's just unnecessary, and it's clearly being used for data farming, and it just feels gross. And of course the consequence of not agreeing to it is that they can just straight up not allow you to play the game. Obviously, new titles that are online games, there's no surprise there, but they're even going back and retroactively committing this to the old titles. So if you have a physical copy of Borderlands 2 and you don't agree to these terms, they can just brick your experience, right? You can't get online and play with anyone anymore. It's just, you're dead in the water. So bad for us, good for them. No one likes it. Nothing's going to change. There are people that say, I'm not going to play this game as a result, and good for them. If they can draw that line in the sand and not cross it, great. I made the same comment years ago about Ubisoft. Said I wasn't going to play another one of their games, and I haven't. So good for me. I get my moral credibility from that. But I'm hopeful for this experience. It does look like fun. Everyone who's played it said that they have their complaints, but ultimately it is a fun time. So that's all that really matters, and fingers crossed they don't somehow screw it up. Just a small tidbit here towards the end. I did end up playing a good bit of the Battlefield 6 beta, and I gotta say, personally, I found it to be a pretty awesome time. I never played Battlefield past, I think, 4. I played a little bit, but most of my time was spent playing 3. I never even played 1. Now, 1 was popular, of course. I've played a little bit of it recently, and I understand now why people praise it so much. For me, I think this new age of shooters feels infinitely better in every single way than old stuff. It doesn't make it better, but I think with the fluidity of combat in Battlefield 6 and just the dynamics of the environment, as long as they can provide us with relevant and interesting gameplay that doesn't get stale and it doesn't feel like we're just running through the same 5 or 6 maps over and over and over, playing the same game types, if they can keep it fresh, this game has a serious chance to succeed. And I never thought I'd say this, but I may actually end up purchasing pretty close to launch. Maybe not at launch, because we do have the release of Legends ZA in October as well. But we'll see. I think Borderlands, if it pans out, is going to keep me pretty busy. But keep an eye out. Battlefield 6, not so bad. As promised, folks, this was going to be a short one today. I'm going to keep my eyes out for anything interesting, anything I want to share with you guys. For all 5 of you who watched the last episode, thank you so much. I hope you're back again. And I hope you enjoy this content. If you want to keep seeing more of it, please consider hitting the like button, because that is how I know that these are succeeding. Not just the view count, but how much people want to engage. So, yeah, reach out. Don't be shy. Leave a comment. Thank you, as always. I love you so much. Adios.